What's going on with y'all?
Good. How about you? What's the issue today, sis?
What's the issue? I am so glad you asked that, Mila. Right.
You gotta let them be. You gotta let kids be kids. But I don't know about.
Who's taking Miss Mabel to the subway, though? Okay.
Hypothetically speaking.
I thought you were gonna say something else. I'm here. We are here this week. You know what? I think watching that now, I need a new wig. I need to get another.
Every time I see the intro and it says and Yanaa, I think of whatever award show that was on when MC Light said all the performers, and she said,
Anyway, we are here this week. And you know what? I don't even know what number this is because I keep putting the numbers on there, and it was 4 last week, but then it was 3, but now it's what?
This is 3.
This is 5. See, you don't even know. This is episode 5. We did 2.
The other 2 from.
We did 2 before we went for season 2. So, I don't even know. We'll just roll with it. I put 5, I think, or 4. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get that together. That's ridiculous. Anyway. Oh no! You got to get that together because that's your job now. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, hey everybody that's coming, about to watch whatever. This is the new episode or the next episode of What's the Issue, Sis? So what's the issue this week, sis? What's the issue?
So we're talking about strong Black women this week and dating as a single mother. I hate it. But anyway.
I'm gonna start this out, and you were just so I'm gonna need you to be more enthusiastic.
I'm sorry. It's because we're talking about dating as a single mother, and it sucks. So
dating sucks. Okay. So the topic of a strong Black woman came from one of our most loyal viewers. We have like 3. But Anika sent this topic to us last week, so we decided to do that. And we're adding a component to it, which is dating as a single mom, which all of those things are interrelated because we're single, we're Black women, and we're moms.
Right. A lot of strong Black women. I mean, Black women are strong, period, but a lot of strong Black women are definitely mothers.
Okay. So Anika's take on it, she said that she did a seminar about strong Black women, and she said that she disagreed with the fact that strong Black women should not be something that we hold on to anymore. I, however, agree with what she was hearing, which was that we should not hold on to it because, and then I'll talk about that a little bit more, because of all the things that I've heard recently and because of how I kind of feel about it. So me and Yanaa have a different approach or a different take on that. But that all goes into being strong Black women and then dating in 2022. So let's get into it. Okay, so since I'm not skilled enough to be able to do videos, I couldn't attach the videos that I've seen. But there apparently is a lot of controversy about Taraji and her recently, like she's made statements about strong Black women and how you should not hold on to that, what she calls the strong Black woman trope. So I only brought up Taraji, even though I got some issues with Taraji, but I only brought up Taraji because a lot of people listen to her, right? She has a big platform, especially when she's doing the whole mental health stuff. But what she said was that the strong Black woman is a stereotype right? And it's a stereotype that should not be continued because it's dangerous. And it's dangerous because we are, tell him.
Elijah, so what? It's
excuse you, we are live, man.
Sorry.
It's dangerous because we are looked at as superhuman, and it dehumanizes us because it makes us seem as if we can take anything and everything that anybody throws at us, which is also something that Keke Palmer said when she was on the Breakfast Club, that everybody expects Black women to just take everything that they throw at us, and we're not supposed to have to do that. Like, we're not supposed to have to carry that weight. I also agree with that being a strong Black woman makes you seem like you can handle anything. And that's not necessarily true, because that's not a human thing. That's not a human quality. We shouldn't have to be able to bear the weight of everybody's problems and everybody's situations all the time. But we are expected to, because that is how we are conditioned. That is how we are trained to nurture and take care of everybody. But then when we need help, we don't have anybody to go to.
But is it the label that people label us as, or is it just the way that we try to uphold that strong Black woman title?
I don't even know what that means.
Like, because I think there's one thing with people labeling people as strong because of what they've been through, and then you still you holding on to that, so you're acting as if you're strong all the time.
Isn't that what it means?
Okay.
I don't know. Is it? Isn't that what it means? Isn't that what people naturally attach to that particular label?
I mean, yeah, but how can we break out of that though? What can we do to break that? What does that even look like?
Okay, so we had a discussion before about women and pygmies. Remember? We're talking about pygmies. So that just made me think, like, a lot of times we get upset when there are women who cater to men, right? Or who make themselves available to men, or who are submissive to men. But the pygmies are usually the ones that say, y'all women are wrong because you shouldn't do it like this. You should do it like this because this is what men want, right? When you have the strong Black woman label, right, most people assume that means independent. Most people assume that means you don't need a man. Most people assume that means that you take whatever it is that comes to you. And most people that have that idea take advantage of people who appear to be strong, right? Because, like we were talking about the other day, well, not the other day, but we talked about this before. When you're a parent, right, and you don't express your emotions to your children, and you said this to me yourself, if you don't show emotions to your children, or you appear to be someone who doesn't have struggle, or you appear that your life is easy, then your children grow up thinking that you're a robot, and you don't have any emotion, and you don't have any human qualities.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help that.
Are you done?
I did say that to you, and that's that's kind of what I was trying to say. Maybe I didn't explain that. I think there's what I'm saying, like what I said with you about being the strong Black woman and not allowing people to see your weaknesses, and not that we have to live in our weaknesses, but that's what I'm trying to figure out. Where did the label come from? Did it come from people labeling us because of what we went through, or is it from us not allowing our weaknesses to be shown? We feel like we have to be strong, and we feel like that's the only way for us to do anything. Because remember, I was having that conversation with you the other day, like, I don't ask men for money, and that's probably why I don't get money from men. And not to say that that's the thing that we need to do, but I have this whole thing where, like, I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? And then when dudes don't help willingly or give me money for things, you know what I mean? It's because they don't think I need it, because I don't ask for it. So, and not that I would need them to take care of me, but it's nice to have help. So that's what I was kind of asking. Like, is it now just because we're labeled as that because of the history of Black women, or is it because of us upholding that strong Black women title and not allowing our weaknesses to be seen?
I think it could be both.
Yeah.
I think it could be both because we're not still in a space where we allow people to help us, specifically when you're a single parent.
Yeah.
Because most of the time you don't have that community to help, or you haven't identified the community that you have to help. We just had a discussion about this the other day about why won't you let me help you? Because I don't need you to help me because that's not your job, right? That's not your responsibility. But you were like, well, you help me?
Yeah.
So why can't I do the same for you? But because my job and how I've been raised and how I've been taught is I'm supposed to take care of everybody else. And then whatever little time is left over for myself, that's what I'm supposed to use for me. Whatever little resources are left over for myself, that's what I'm supposed to use for me. Now I'm getting out of that. You know this. I'm getting out of that. But still, my mind automatically goes to, no, I don't need that from anybody. I don't need anybody to help me. I'll figure it out. Or I don't want to burden somebody else with my issues because that is my responsibility. And especially if it's coming from your child, like that is my responsibility to take care of you. If you're giving me money or you're giving me something, that means that now you're responsible for taking care of me because the idea of taking care of is what you're now offering to me.
Yeah. But I think that's the problem that some Black mothers have too. They don't want their kids help because then they feel like I'm supposed to take care of you, you're not supposed to take care of me. But when your kids get to a parent and they get grown, it's like, what's wrong with us helping you like you did for us? And we've seen you go through this. And part of the reason why we try to get to a certain place is to help our parents. And I don't think, and you know what I mean? So that's a whole thing. But I think a lot of Black women too have trouble with letting their kids help them, and they feel like they have to do everything, and you don't.
I think there's this not difference, but people often don't differentiate vulnerability and weakness, right? Because especially if you're somebody who's dealt with a lot of traumatic situations, you don't want to be vulnerable to anybody because one, you may have had situations where you were being abused by someone. Yeah. Every time that you started to be vulnerable, they used it as a way to continue to control you. Or you may have had situations where you had no control and you were completely open and vulnerable and somebody took advantage of that. Or you may even still have situations where people take advantage of you when you're in a vulnerable position. And so we try to protect ourselves from that. And I think that the whole idea of strong Black women came from that because we've been violated and we've been traumatized to a point of where we've been abused by everybody and everything around us, the system, our families, whatever it is. So as a form of protection, we've developed this armor that says you can't penetrate me. You can't hurt me in any way. And I'm not about to let you hurt me because I can't do that.
Yeah.
So the appearance of being strong means that we don't want to be vulnerable. But strong is not the opposite of weakness.
It's not. I was just gonna say that because I was gonna bridge that to like the dating thing. And the reason why I feel like people say being a strong Black woman is wrong is because it puts men off. And that's where I have my devil's advocate thing, because I don't feel like we have to change being strong in order to get a man. I think it's just the whole thing with, like you said, men don't want to be weak, but the opposite of strong is not weak. I know that that's the main, how they use it,
synonym, but it's not the opposite.
It's not that. And I think that's a whole big thing. So I don't know about letting go of the strong Black women trope, because I think sometimes you just are strong. But here's the thing. I think the problem is when you're labeled as a strong Black woman, people don't allow you to be anything else. And you don't show another side of yourself, but none of us are just one thing. And I think that that's something that people have to get rid of in their mind, because you can be a strong Black woman and still be vulnerable and still be caring and loving and submissive. And it doesn't mean that you're not, because you're strong and you're independent and you've known how to take care of yourself. I think it's the problem. The problem is how other people look at it from the outside looking in. But I don't necessarily take it as a negative thing. I think that's like, I don't know what I was about to say, but I was, but yeah, I don't necessarily think it's something that we have to let go of. I think people have to let go of labeling people as one thing and not allowing them to be other things.
I think that it's what Taraji said. I think it's dangerous because a lot of women who have that persona, and I'm gonna just use a couple of examples. So yesterday, I was having a discussion with our cousin, and she said, because I said I don't want anybody to live with me anymore. I don't want to have to deal with changing myself and adapting, because my house is supposed to be my safe area. And if somebody male comes to live with me, or we move in together, then that means I have to consider somebody else's comfort and space and happiness when I'm trying to be in my safe place. And I said, I don't want to do that right now. That's not where I'm trying to be at. I don't want to deal with that right now in this point in my life. And she said, yeah, because you've been independent for so long that that's the reason. And I'm like, it's not about independence necessarily. It's about comfort, right? And it's about safety for me, not safety in the sense that people are dangerous, but safety in the sense that when I come home, I don't want to have to deal with somebody else's anything. I want to be able to come in my room and take my ponytail holder off and get in my bed with my clothes on, or take my clothes all the way off. Like, I don't want to have to think about and consider how somebody else is viewing this. I don't want to consider, oh, is my room clean enough, because he might not like that, or should I leave this on the floor, or should I pick this up, or do I pick up his socks? I don't want to have to deal with all of that right now. But it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that I've been independent for so long. It kind of does, but not in the sense that I don't want anybody, because I do. You can go spend the night. you go over here and spend the night. As soon as you get up in the morning, take your car and you leave. But that don't mean you got to live here.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean I don't want the companionship. It doesn't mean I don't want somebody to be around. It just means I don't want you to be here all the time. I want to have my space. And it's a lot of times when I say, if I get married, we're going to be living in two separate houses, and people are like, oh my God, why would you ever do that? Because I want my space. And I have a lot of people living with me, and sometimes it's hard for people to fit into that life, because I've experienced it before, where it's hard for somebody to come into my life and be able to be comfortable there. And I don't want to have to fix myself and adjust myself for somebody else's comfort. You got your own place. You know your house. I'll come spend the night over there. You can spend the night over here. We can live next door. I heard about this white couple who did that. They bought two houses next door to each other. They lived together. They did everything together. They traveled together. They talked to each other every day, but they lived in separate houses next door to each other.
I'll do the separate room, not the separate house thing, though.
I mean, regardless to that, it's still separate.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to share my space, because the expectation most often is you give up your space to accommodate me. And that's things I was telling you about the other day that I heard on a video or a clip or something, where the guy was talking about how most men don't want to commit because they're not afraid of commitment. Men are capable of commitment. They're capable of being in a committed relationship. They're capable of being with one person for an extended period of time. But a lot of men are not capable of being partners.
Right.
They're not capable of sharing responsibility. They're not capable of sharing space. They're not capable of sharing what comes with having to be a partner to somebody, which means you have to give up or put forth as much effort into the relationship as I do. And sometimes more, right? Because we always talking about this 50-50, 100-100 thing. No, sometimes it's 80-20. Sometimes it's 75-25. It just depends on the situation. Sometimes you got to step up when somebody is lacking, and sometimes they got to bring themselves down so that you can rise. That's what relationships are supposed to be. That's how partnerships are supposed to be. But when you got this strong Black women trope that we are hanging on to, most people assume strong means independent, which means you don't need nobody.
But it doesn't.
No, it doesn't at all. So I tell people all the time, your strength is in your vulnerability. Your strength is not in how much you can take. Your strength is in how much you can allow yourself to be open and vulnerable to accepting help, whether that's therapeutic help or family help or help from your partner or help from your children. That is where your strength is, because it takes a lot to be vulnerable after you've been violated.
Yeah.
That's where strength comes from. Because I always talk about the definition. Strong means literally how much weight you can carry, how much weight you can hold. Why do we need to do that? Why do we need to continue to hold weight that doesn't even belong to us in order for us to be able to have a persona or have, a good, happy life or be with somebody? We shouldn't have to hold on to that.
Yeah.
What's going on with you right now?
Nothing. I agree with what you're saying. I don't know. I agree. I think I personally feel, because I think me right now, and you said this to me a lot, and this is probably what's happening to me today. I feel like I'm upset, but I need to be strong and I need to be okay. You know what I mean? I don't need to, not that I don't need to be vulnerable, because I am, but I think are not vulnerable to everybody. And sometimes it's just times when you don't want everybody to know that you're not doing okay. You know what I mean? So I think that's part of the reason also why we try to be strong Black women, because some people use it against you and some people will take that time to try to manipulate and do things when they feel like you're not okay, or they feel like you're not strong, so I think that's a thing too.
That's what I was trying to tell you this morning.
I know, but I'm okay.
No, you're not.
Not okay.
But it's fine if you're not. Like that is part of the issue, because we are expected to always take whatever comes to us and continue to be okay with it and put up this face and this facade in every single area of our lives, with our families, at work, especially at work. Like, you could have gone, it's funny because she had used an example. Her son just died last night, but she's strong, right? You could have been in and I've done this before. I've been in the hospital until 4:00 in the morning, and I still got up and went to work.
Yeah.
That's not okay. That's not okay. I'm weak and tired, and I done had all kind of IVs in my arms, and then, where you at? Oh, I'm at work. That's not cool, because you got to put up this image of, I'm not weak. I can handle whatever comes to me.
That's why you got to be the person to ask for help, because 9 times out of 10, once you become that person, people will just start offering it to you. I've seen it, especially at work. I don't even mean just me. Like, let me just say, one of my coworkers, who just happens to not be Black, she is somebody who's always asking for help. She's always letting everybody know that she's having a hard time, and nobody ever faults her for it, and everybody helps her. You know what I mean? But I think on the latter, when somebody else has a hard time that maybe is not like that, it's surprising. You know what I mean? Like, oh, what's going on with you? Like, so
that's the problem. And that's the thing that we talked about before, about work, in the work environment, and how you become pet to office threat. That conversation that we have, because we go into these situations, it's not just with work, but just everything. We go into these situations giving our all right away. Right? We go above and beyond. We do all the tasks that are required of us. We do even more than what's required of us, because we want to prove that we belong there. But then it gets to a point where, oh, let me give you more.
Right. And
then you're like, wait a minute, I can't deal with this. Well, how come you can't handle it? Because you just showed me that you are superhuman.
Right.
You don't have, you don't sleep. You don't, you got babysitters all day long. Your kids don't, they cool, and you don't have to do anything. You could be at work until 7:00 because you was doing that when you first got here.
Right.
but not even seeing, and this is what we were talking about yesterday, you don't necessarily see the struggle behind that, especially if you are a Black single mother.
But because we don't show it. Because
why?
Because we feel like people are going to fault us for it and use it against us. But even if people do, our thing, like kind of like you just said, we set the bar in the beginning, and then we can't necessarily do that all the time.
But you can't take it back now.
Right. But then people tend to put you in that box. And once you're in that box of like, this is who you are, it shocks people when you're something else. Oh my God, you can't uphold that type of lifestyle for years to come. You can't work like that for years to come.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's kind of where it's on us to not put that even out there. You know what I mean? It's on us to do what we're capable of doing and ask for help when it gets hard, and not try to just, you know what, this is hard, I'm gonna just try to do it. Because we are definitely, I think, guilty of doing that too. Of when we do need help, we so used to being alone and figuring it out that we do have a hard time asking the people around us for help. You know, I had that situation too at work, which because you told me to talk to my boss, I wouldn't have talked to my boss. But to tell her that I was having a hard time with the job that she gave me, and all I wanted to do was excel and be good at it, and because they talked me up and said all this stuff about how great I was, and then I'm like, I can't show them that I'm not great in this position too, even though I don't like doing it. So, you know, it was that thing of maybe I need to do this, maybe I need to do that, maybe I need to try to figure it out before I tell somebody that I'm not okay with this, because then it's that whole thought of I'm going to get fired because I'm not doing what's given to me, or they're not going to want to depend on me anymore because I'm not doing what I said I was going to do. Just like when we take a lot on our plate outside of work and we offer ourselves up to do things that we might not necessarily want to do later, but then when it comes to that time, we do it anyway because we're like, I said I was going to do this, and now I don't want people to think I'm not reliable. I don't want people to think I'm not trustworthy. I don't want people to think that I don't care about them. You know, even when we're like drained and burned out, and then people are like, damn, you look tired. Hell yeah, I'm tired. Like, what do you think? Mentally and physically. Like, I'm exhausted. Like, but I'm okay. I'm good. But I think that's the problem too. Like, we don't need to do that. We don't need to. And we need to make it safe for each other to be able to say, hey, I need help. You know, hey, I can't do this. I can't right now. I need to just take a break.
Yeah. But then, you know, when you take a break, shit tends to fall apart. It's kind of even, and then it makes you say, well, damn, maybe I shouldn't even do that, because the only way for this to go right is for me to be able to do it, is to do it myself. Because you know the situation I'm dealing with at work right now.
But like you said, we have to assess and recognize who is there to help us and who's not, too.
That doesn't always work.
It doesn't. But then, like, kind of like you're saying, like what you're dealing with at work, you put out fires. It's like a firefighter, right? Firefighters go around putting out fires all the time. So imagine one day it was a big ass fire and no firefighters came. Wouldn't you be like, what the hell? Because you expecting the firefighters to come and put the fire out, because that's what they always do. You call them, they go put the fires out all the time. So you call them and then nobody comes, and then they're like, I expected you to put that fire out. You know what I mean? I saw it there. I saw it growing, but I was waiting for you to come and put it out. Then it destroys a whole city. No, but that's dramatic. But
it's true. It destroys the whole city.
So I think a lot of the times, if you us, like I said, we have to not be like that. If we set us a standard like that, then that's what we're always doing. People are going to look to us and expect that. Like with you, people, your employees are looking to you to do that, because that's what you do, and you fix it and you get it done and you get it right, which is not necessarily unrealistic, because I mean, you are the boss, but at the same time, people should do what they need to do first.
Right. But that just brings me to something that you just made me think about how, and I say this a lot to people, that the way or the role that you play in other people's lives is how you set it up. right? Because if that expectation of you from other people is you're going to fix it, it's because you've always been the fixer, right? You're going to help us. It's because you always been the one to help. And in order for you to not have to deal with that, not setting it up in the beginning is the way to go. Because just like you said the other day, you can't take it back now. Like, this is how you made it with this person. So you can't make it different. The only thing that you could do now is either decide if you want to continue to engage in that same type of relationship or that same type of dynamic, or get out.
Yeah, I mean, or tell them and see how they react. And 9 times out of 10,
They're not
they might. It depends on who it is, but 9 times out of 10, it's probably not going to change. Maybe like I say 9, maybe 5 out of 10.
Okay, but then talking about the whole strong Black woman thing and how it impacts the way that we go into dating as a single parent. I don't know necessarily if it's because of the fact that, I mean, the question that you asked, is it because people put that label on us as, well, you a single parent, you can do it, you've been doing it, and now you don't need me, so what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to be a part of your life? Or is it because we're like, I don't need you for this, but this is what I want you for? And some people just can't step up and be in that position. And so we get to miss out. We miss out on a lot of different things. So the thing I was telling you about the other day about the clip that I saw was LaToya Luckett. She was on a mom's podcast, something about moms. But she was talking about how she saw her mama work 3 jobs, and her mom made it look easy, and she made it look like it's something that somebody could do, right? Because she came home still, she cooked dinner, she made lunches, she made sure everybody got off to school okay, but she worked 3 jobs. What the other person on the pod, I don't know who it was, but the other person was saying, we are doing a disservice to our sons when we do that, because we are showing them that that's how women behave. Right? That's how women can work 3 jobs, and they can come home and cook, and they can come home and clean, and they can clean up your room, and they can make sure that you have enough snacks and sodas for the Xbox when you just sit on the game all day. And we can do all of that. So when you leave your mom, you looking at somebody else like, you only work 1 job? Right? You lazy, right? You don't cook for me, and you don't clean for me, and you don't wash my laundry, and you don't do all this stuff, and then still come smile and say, hey son, you need some money? Right. You don't do none of that?
And sometimes it's not even just the mom doing it. He'll see his sisters doing the other stuff that the mom is not doing. The sisters are the ones cleaning. The sisters are the ones cooking while mama's going out, and that could lead him to believe that that's just a woman thing. That's just what women do, and I'm just gonna be here just in case anything happens that needs a man, or whatever the case may be, like you said. But I think then that's the thing of like, the boys need to step up too. If in that case, if your mom is working 3 jobs and there ain't no dad around, then you, the son, need to be in there cooking and cleaning and making sure it's clean every day, and doing other stuff like the yard work and whatever else. And then when they get to be an adult, they'll be comfortable being in that position for a woman that is a go-getter. You know what I mean? And I think too, part of the narrative is society really shames men that are in the traditional woman role. And so when men are really comfortable in that role and they meet a woman who is someone that makes more money than them, or is just doing it, they don't want to be in that house husband role. They don't want to do that because they want to be seen as the one that's in charge, which I don't think just because the woman works, that means she's in charge. But
yeah. That's funny, because that just leads me back to that other conversation we had the other day about the women in our family are alpha females.
Yeah.
Not because we're strong, but because we have had to figure out how to live life with limited resources. Right? We've had to figure out how to go on vacation. We've had to figure out how to make sure that the kids have lunch and chips and whatever else. We've had to figure out how to make sure that 10 people eat when there's only one job in the house, right? We've had to deal with those types of situations. So all three of us are alpha women who tend to attract men who don't work or who don't take care of themselves, who are not independent, but are willing to, in the beginning, be the house, play the house husband role. I'm gonna clean up. I'm gonna clean up the garage. I'm gonna do all this stuff for you. I'm gonna make sure that your house is clean by the time you get home. I'm gonna make sure you got a bath and the bath water for the first. And then, well, damn, I'm a man. I ain't supposed to be doing this.
Right.
Now I'm gonna fight with you because you like, why is the house not clean? Because that's what you was doing when we first got together. But now all of a sudden, that's not happening. Even though I'm going out and I'm working every day. You sitting here all day and you ain't got nothing to do, but I come home and I still got to do this? That's not okay.
You don't want to do it, go get a job so we can hire a maid. Good for it.
Hire somebody to do the grass. We can, you know what I'm saying? Like, but because of that, it's difficult for us to find partners because the people who we attract are like that, but they don't want to do what's required to be a partner.
Right.
Your role as a stay-at-home person is to take care of the home, just like it would be if it was me. Your role is to make sure that when I come home, I got dinner on the table. It's funny because I saw, and it was back, this is interesting because it was 89 when the Cosby Show was on the air. And that was one of the episodes where, and I don't know if did you ever watch the Cosby Show? I don't even know. But there was an episode where Sandra's boyfriend, who was like a career misogynist, was saying to Dr. Huxtable, like, your wife doesn't come home and cook and clean and she works a full-time job. And he was like, yeah. And he was like, well, your wife works because my mom works and I didn't really like that. I don't like the fact that she works. Right. And he was like, well, yeah, she has a job. She's a lawyer, whatever. And then he was like, well, doesn't it bother you that sometimes there's not dinner on the table when you come home? He was like, sometimes dinner ain't on the table for my wife when she comes home. And I'm sure that bothers her too. For some reason, that idea of mutual reciprocal relationship kind of eludes people. Like, it's me. My needs need to be met. And since I'm now with this other person, that means that you are the person that's responsible for taking care of my needs. And I'm not just talking about men to women. I'm talking about women to men too. Because you get a partner and you're like, I just need emotional support. So now I'm expecting you to be my entire emotional support. Like, everything that I have to go through, I'm going to bring it to you because you're the one that's supposed to take care of this for me. And that's not realistic on either side.
Wow. It's not.
I keep trying to tell you this.
I know that, but
it's not realistic because, one, nobody can handle, and I know based off of my profession, no one person can handle a person's shit. Like, you are part of what I teach people is you are supposed to develop a network of people to be able to help you with what is going on with you. If this person can't handle the capacity for you to be able to emotionally dump on them, then deal with the person who is, right? The person who welcomes that, who says to you, you know what, if you need me, I'm here to listen. Not the person who you want it to be. Like, I had one client who was talking about her mom. Her mom depended on her for the entirety of her life to be her emotional support. And now that she's an adult, she's like, now I deserve for you to do that for me. And I said to her, that expectation isn't realistic because she came to you for help.
Yeah.
At some point. So for you to expect her to be the help that you gave her, it's not a realistic expectation.
You gotta leave her. Go find somebody else.
I said, but there are other people who you can do that with, and you need to identify who those people are. Okay. But when you're in a relationship, it's hard to do that because you've decided now to build your life with this person. And you've decided, this is my person. This is my guy, or this is my woman, and this is the one that I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with, and we're gonna be doing all these things together, and it's just me and you.
You should still have people outside of that.
Of course you should.
And definitely not always just be you and the person that you're in a relationship with.
No, but that's the expectation. The expectation is now I'm with this woman, and now you have to treat me like I'm the only person in the world. Or now I'm with this guy or this man, and now you have to give me everything that I never got from anybody else. And that's where conflict comes in relationships, is the expectation that this person is going to be everything you need them to be, instead of you getting what you need from where you need to get it from.
Or when people are just not on the same page. Just on different pages sometimes on different things. Gotta let it go either way to me.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
What are you just saying exactly? What are you saying?
I'm just saying that sometimes, because I hear what you're saying about sometimes people are not capable to give you that. And I'm just saying sometimes if they not, you can leave. You don't have to deal with that. Especially if you've put up with that from them or however it goes. Because it's always going to be that way.
You don't have to deal with that. But another thing that I seen, another video that I seen with this guy who was talking about, he expressed his interest to this woman, and she told him, well, no, I don't think that we are going to be romantic. I think that we should just be friends. And he was like, all right, cool. I'm going to move on. And she was like, well, why are you moving on so quick? You just going to move on like that? And he was like, yeah, because I don't want to waste either of our time. Listen, if you're not interested in me romantically, then I'm going to just move on. That was after the first couple of weeks that he did that. If you decide to move on after months and now you're emotionally invested in this person, it may be because of something else.
Or maybe
because you decided that you don't have to deal with this. Maybe because of something else.
Maybe because you as a person, for me, myself personally, I'm going to just put myself on the spot. Because I think sometimes, and this goes back to the strong Black woman thing, sometimes I don't have boundaries. And sometimes my boundaries are very weak and I tend to want to keep people in my life. So I say it's okay. And I say, you know what? I think I can try to do this, even though I know that I haven't been able to successfully do it with someone else, or I know that that's not necessarily what I want, or so then it becomes like, okay, well, I'm just going to take it for as long as I can. And then it gets to be a problem, months down the line or whatever. So
that sounds like a PP.
It does. But I'm not saying that's anybody else's problem, but I'm saying like that would be the time to not leave in a few weeks. But like you said, it's that whole thing of like, you know what? I don't need anybody's validation. I don't need anybody to do this for me. I don't need him to necessarily do that for me, but that's what I want. And I don't feel like he's wrong, even if it's in a few months or if it's in like a year. I think that's the problem with relationships. And we talk about this too. Sometimes it's okay to leave if you're at a point that it's not what you want. Or maybe you were okay within the beginning and you're just not okay in a year or two. It's like, okay, we're still on this. And now I'm at a different space. This is not what I need from you anymore. I need to move on. And I think that that's okay.
Okay. So in that particular situation, if you are expecting something to change and you're expecting something to progress in a way that you want it to, and it's not necessarily going that way, absolutely you have the right to decide whether you want to engage in it or not.
Yeah.
However, when you're saying, I don't want to engage, and I'm guilty of this myself, you saying, I don't want to engage in this anymore, but then as soon as they say, well, come over, you like, okay, that is still continuing to do what it is, regardless of whether you think that it's a good idea or not.
And that's why you got to stop, because you're going to be hurt at the end of the day always, especially if you know it's not going to be what you want it to be. And if you're expecting somebody to turn it around.
But the thing is, do you change the relationship or do you change your expectations?
The relationship.
Not always.
I don't necessarily think that's the same thing and this is what I would turn that into. Like when they tell women, well, you should have picked a better baby daddy. Next time, just pick a better baby daddy, right? Because you need to lower your expectations because that's not who he was. And you knew that wasn't who he was. No, I think that's when you dip and you say, I'm not dealing with your shit no more. And you just have not even expectations. Let's not call them expectations because I don't think that's what I mean. I mean, like, you know that you want something in a relationship, and I'm not going to change that just because this person that I'm with is not capable of it. I'm going to move on and go and find somebody who is.
Okay, so barring any abuse type of situation or narcissistic type of situation, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about just regular situations, regular relationships. If it's something that you want, like I told you before, whatever you want is the easiest choice. If it's something that you want, if it's a relationship that you want to be in and you keep going back to it because it's what you want, when you go against that and you struggle, that might be because that's not the decision that you want to make.
Or you're attached to the person. And that's completely different than going with what you want.
But that's the thing. If we have these ideas of people, we have these ideas of relationships, we have these ideas about how relationships are supposed to go. Yes, expectation is the word because you expect it to go this way. But most people don't look at what the relationship is or who that person actually is. What you want them to be is not necessarily who they are. And you have to decide, do you want to deal with them as they are? Or do you want to deal with somebody else who might be different? That is the decision. The decision is not, well, you're not changing, so I'm just going to leave.
It's not about it's not about not changing. It's about you not being okay with something, or you, and I think that happens in any relationship, even if at one point you were okay with it, you know, and then that's when you address it. You can address it with your partner, and if they can't, and it's not even that they're not willing to change, because no, actually it is, because that's what a partnership, and it's not even about change, compromise, but that's what a partnership is. When you tell somebody, like if I say to you, like, if you have a life partner and you planned on spending your life with this person, it's not even about changing yourself, but it's about addressing that. And that's why people don't have these conversations. It's about addressing, hey, you know what? This is not working for me how it is right now. Like, what can we do to figure it out to make it work for both of us? Because it could be working for the other person, and they might not have any idea that you are feeling any type of way. And if they also want the relationship to continue and they can make a change, they will try to. And if they can't, then that's just when they both need to address, you know what? I'm not able to give you that. So if that's something that you really need, if that's a deal breaker for you, and that's something that you really need in order to continue this, then I'm going to tell you that I can't give you that at all. I'm not going to, act like I can, or I'm not going to whatever. And then that's when the other person's like, okay, I have to leave. I'm not saying you just have to like completely just give up and not say nothing to the other person. But I mean, if you already know that the other person is not capable of giving you that, even if it's just at that time, you don't want to keep waiting and say, oh, well, you're not able to give it to me right now. You might be able to give it to me down the line. You just leave. And if they are able to give it to you down the line, then maybe y'all come back together. You know what I mean? But I think that's a point sometimes that relationships have to come to. I think sometimes it's inevitable. And even if you do feel like you love that person, you're depriving yourself of something that you want by staying and settling because you love that person, or because you're like, well, this is where they're at right now. Because if you're not there, who cares where they're at? And it's not even about being mean. It's just about like when you dating somebody that is not doing for you, when you're a strong Black woman that's working every day, you're coming home, you're cleaning, and you tell your partner, I need you to help me out with the house. I think if that person can't do that and they tell you that they can't, or they show you that they can't, you need to leave them. That's just it. Especially if you've already had the conversation with them, if you've already sat them down, you've already talked, because then they know that you're unhappy, and then they know that they can do something to help, or they can say, you know what, I can't do it every day, but I can do it 3 times a week. Or you know what, how about this? I have some extra money. Let's hire somebody to do it. There's a whole bunch of ways I think that you can compromise and meet somebody halfway. But if there's absolutely no compromise right now, then that's when you just need to leave, because there's no point in sticking around. Like when people say with babies, if you're somebody that wants children and you get with somebody that says they don't want children, don't expect them to change that, because they might never. And then you're going to be unhappy because you spent all that time with somebody who didn't want children because you love them, or this is just where they're at right now, you know, type shit.
Yeah. That's funny because that made me think about I'm just bringing up celebrities today because people listen to them. But because my own situation, I have that same type of situation. But I'm thinking about like Tammy Roman when she was talking about her husband. Yeah. And her husband is some years younger than her, but he doesn't have children. She has 2 grown adult children. And so she said, what we decided was he's going to go out and date and have a child. And then when he's done doing that, then we're going to come back together and we're going to be married, and I'm going to help him with his child. Mm-hmm. People got pissed off about that, because why would you do that? And how would you let that happen? Because that's what you do. Like you said, the compromise, that's what you do when you love people. And even if it seems like it's extreme, mm-hmm. that's what you do when you love them, right? If somebody wants to have a child and you can't, for example, you can't have children anymore because you decided to tie your tubes when you were 36. But if you can't do that for somebody and they say, you know what, I want to have another child, and this is the way that I think that we could be able to do it, why not give them that?
I think people's thing with her too was that they felt like there were other ways she could go about it. But looking at it from her point of view, maybe she didn't want to be the mother. I don't think he wanted. Maybe she already raised her kid to raise a child.
But she wanted it to be an organic situation, right? He dates somebody, he meets them, they agree to have a child. He has a natural child that is a part of him, but he's still married to somebody else, because she's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not having any babies at 46 or 50, however old she was at the time. She was like, I'm not about to have no babies. Mm-hmm. And if you ain't got no kids and you're young enough to be able to have them, I'm going to go ahead and let you do that, even though we're married. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't.
You love them.
But that's the thing. A lot of people are like, well, why don't you just break up for good and just let him go live his life? Because that's not what it is. It's about the fact that this is something that he desires. And this is something that you cannot do for him. So the compromise is, I'm going to go ahead and let you do that.
Yeah. I just think for other people that have an opinion, and I think that's part of the thing we talked about on a lot of our shows, is that people have an opinion and they tend to think that what works for somebody else doesn't work for them. That's fine. I think that just works for their relationship. And if you are in a situation like that and you decide you want to break up, that's fine too. I don't think that there's any wrong way to go about it. I think that whatever works for you and your relationship and whatever it is that you can take, because some women wouldn't be able to be, some women would say, oh, you can go have a baby with somebody else just to see what he would do, or to see if he loves her enough to just decide not to have a kid, because I think women do that too. Yeah. And I think that would be when it would be a real problem, because then you're not mature enough to be able to handle that when he actually does it. You know what I mean? So I think what works for people is subjective, and it's for you and what you're comfortable with, because you might not be comfortable with that's also with like the open relationships thing. Some people are not comfortable with their partner dating other people, you know, and some people are. I think it's just what works. And everything don't work for everybody.
I think that should be our next show topic, talking about compromise in relationships. What that looks like.
What does it look like? Because I haven't figured it out.
Yeah. Because you're only 26 years old. So
I'm only 26 years old. That has nothing to do with it, though. I just think, and like this, and here's what, okay, because we really didn't talk about strong Black women and dating. But I'm going to give an example just of me. I think part of my fear, I already have a limited pool of people that are willing to date me, because I have a child and because I am a very independent woman. And sometimes I feel like I don't want to waste my time with somebody that doesn't want the same thing as me, because I don't have a big pool of people that are waiting to date me. You know what I mean? So I think also maybe that's why I feel like I'd rather not try to be in a situationship or be in something where it's not working for me. I think I'd rather just be like, okay, and I'll go find something else.
Well, you know, I'm at the point where I feel like I'm never going to find.
I know you feel like that.
I'm never going to find anybody. Because I just had a conversation with somebody the other day, that somebody that I had met on a dating site like months ago. And for some reason, he kept my phone number and he decided to call me months later. And I had absolutely no idea who this dude was, even though somebody said that somebody else might have put them up to it in order to see what I was going to say. But regardless of that. But anyway, dude called me and he's like asking me all these questions and interrogating me about how can I be the woman that he needs. And I was like, first of all, you called me. First of all, you reached out to me. So why do I have to prove that? And I said this to him. I said, why you sound like you interrogating me and you asking me all these questions about how am I going to be good enough for you? Why do I have to be good enough for you when you're the one that called me? Right. Your interest was in me. So what is it that I need to prove to you in order to be good enough for the fact that you're the one that called me? The second thing was he had these ideas about life that just didn't agree with what I feel. For example, women who have a whole lot of baby daddies are hoes. Women who have a high body count is a hoe. Women who have a lot of children, that means you a hoe. And I said, first of all, you done said 3 of the things that I am. So you already automatically, before you even got to know me, labeled me as a hoe.
As a hoe, yeah.
Because I have multiple children with multiple men. I've been married multiple times. So now for you to assume that I'm a hoe, that just because I have a lot of children doesn't mean I was out there sleeping with a whole bunch of people. I had different relationships because I'm a person who, if you don't do what it is, if I come to you and I say to you, this doesn't work for me, just like we were talking about earlier. If I say to you, this doesn't work for me, and we sit down and we have this conversation and you continue to do it, and then I say, you know what? We already had this conversation. I told you this doesn't work for me, and you continue to do it. I'm going to say, you know what? That's it. I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm not coming back. We are not going to be together again, even if we have this kid. Mm-hmm. If I'm telling you that this doesn't work and you still continue to do the same behavior, you still continue to do the same shit and you don't want to change it, I'm out. And then I find someone else to have a family with. And maybe that doesn't work. Right. But I'm not the type of person to stick around. So I don't have a one baby daddy because I done stood with this nigga for 29 years while he's openly cheating in front of my face. Yeah. I don't do that. So for you to label me as a hoe because you think I'm out here having multiple, relationships with people and I'm just having kids and I'm just popping them out every single 5 minutes. No, that's not what my life is about. But had you gotten to know me, maybe you would have been able to figure that out.
Right.
Because I'm not one that sticks around. I'm not going to keep going through shit. I might go through shit with you for a couple of years, but I'm not going to be doing that for no 20. Nah, nigga, sorry. Nope. That ain't me, bro.
That's why I don't want to have any more kids until I know it's somebody that I want to be with, because I don't want to be attached to nobody. No. I'm cool on that. But you're good about that. You and your exes can get along. I don't have that track record.
Some of them.
I be fighting niggas.
Well, I mean, that was the other issue we were talking about the other day too. Was like, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with having 2 of my exes in the same room because guess what? I'm a person who likes to be honest, and you can't tell him nothing that he don't already know.
Yeah.
Because and your ex and your boyfriend, why they in the same room? Yeah. For why? Why wouldn't they be able to be? No, that's your baby daddy. He shouldn't be able to come around. Why not? Because you can still have sex with him. So I'm not in a relationship with you. So, why would that be an issue?
People don't understand co-parenting.
No, they don't, because Black men and Black women don't often know how to do that.
Don't co-parent.
In a good way. I was just talking to Jessica and Basil about that yesterday. Like, I don't have a problem with nobody. All of it, really. All of my ex-husbands, baby mamas, I'm cool with most of them.
Yeah.
Like, they're cool with me. They're not cool with each other. They be fighting and kicking down doors and shooting each other, but they don't do that to me. Because I told them in the beginning, don't bring that shit here. I don't want to deal with none of that. But I'm, we go to LA and we see them and we cool. And then,
Right.
the other one, we had a group chat at one point. It was 3 of us talking to each other because I'm just that type of person. I don't have an issue with jealousy in that way. I'm not jealous of you trying to be around somebody else, or I'm not jealous of another woman in your space. That's not the type of jealousy that I have. When I get jealous, it's because I'm mad about the fact that you get to do something that I don't. Like, you get to sit your ass around here all day and not do shit, and I gotta go out and work. That's where my jealousy comes in. I don't have no jealousy about other women. But some women just are not like that. And when you have to co-parent and you have a co-parent or a parent that has another spouse or a parent that has another relationship, the jealousy comes in because he's had you before or she's had you before.
Why
and it wasn't
want to date people with kids. So that's why people don't want to date people with kids sometimes.
But that's what I'm saying to people, like, why would that be an issue? If we were supposed to be together, we would have been together. You wouldn't even be here.
I don't know.
You wouldn't even be something that I'm looking at. You wouldn't even be an issue, sir. And we were supposed to still be in a relationship. But the fact that when I see him, it's like we never left each other or we still in love, especially if I'm single. That's so what?
Well, so what do we feel about the Strong Black Women title? Should we?
I think we should let it go.
Drop it. I think people should allow us to be multifaceted. That's what I think. And stop associating strong with masculine.
That's a good point. Strong doesn't mean masculine. But then maybe we should talk about too, like the compromise and alpha females and masculinity versus femininity and what that kind of means. Because we really never touch on that. We kind of touched on it at one point, but we never really talked about it.
We did not really stay on topic today, but it's okay.
It's our show. We can do whatever the hell
we can. But yeah, I mean,
about dating and relationships and single moms, sort of.
I'm looking for the people out there,
Nobody's there
that are non-binary in life. If that makes sense. Non-life-nary. You just live accordingly. You know what I mean? Stop putting them labels on us. You know what I'm saying?
Non-life-nary?
Yeah.
On that note, we are at the end. What the hell does that mean? Anyway, all right. As always, we appreciate y'all.
We do.
Sticking around with us. This particular thing, even though we was kind of talking about something else.
I'll be in higher spirits on the next show.
Yeah, whatever. You ain't never. You.
That's not true. Don't say never. That's a bad relationship term. Don't use that.
All right.
We love y'all though.
We love y'all. We'll see y'all in a couple of weeks, next week, sometime. I don't even know what we're doing, but we'll figure it out. All right. Have a good evening, everybody. Bye.